Chapter 2 intends to introduce students to the problems involved with getting the text of the Bible from ancient times to their own desks. Questions about copyist errors that we see in textual criticism sometimes challenge one set of beliefs about the Bible. After all, if there are errors, how do they know that there's truth there? At the same time, it may challenge the more skeptical to know that the basic texture of the Bible and the basic content is fairly reliable. It's important to note, I think, in this that human participation in the transmission and writing of these texts does not mean that the texts are without value. The second major issue that this chapter brings up is that of the translation of the text. I want this section to alert students to the complications of bringing the biblical text into English. I want this section to reinforce the need for critical study, beginning with reading multiple translations because of the recognition that the translator's own presuppositions, his own views, or her own outlook on life significantly influences the translation of the text. This is a good moment to make sure students recognize that the easier reading translation is not always the better or the more correct. This would also be a good place to bring up some texts that show just what difference the translator can make. One of the easiest ones to use is 2 Corinthians 5:19, where in the New Revised Standard Version the text reads, "In Christ, God was reconciling the world." The text here seems to mean that God somehow worked through Christ to do something for the world. If you read this same text in the New Jerusalem Bible, or even in the footnote of the New Revised Standard Version, it says, "God was in Christ, reconciling the world." This translation suggests that God was somehow more directly in Christ in this act of reconciling the world. Those are two rather different understandings of what God did around the person of Jesus. Noticing that these translations give such different translations of the text helps students to recognize the importance of critical study when they see the way that translators can influence the meaning of a text in very significant ways. Overall, I hope this chapter shows students that critical study is necessary because of the complicated and long history of the transmission of the text and of the translation of the text that we have now.